Hey everybody, it's me, your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and this is my series Nails in a Coffin, where we learn that with great kills, there must also come great nails. Thanks for watching this video, I really do appreciate it, and if you haven't subscribed, I would love if you hit that subscribe button. Keep me motivated to keep putting out content every week. It's free to you, and I really much appreciate it. Also, I wouldn't mind if you shared this video out on social media. I'm just an old man, so I'm not too savvy on social media and where to post things. So if you know of areas of groups that may like this content, horror groups or whatnot, I would really, really appreciate it if you share it out. But most importantly, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. So, we started a Puppet Master franchise last week, and that first episode was a lot of fun to cover. The original Puppet Master had an average of 1.5 nails in a coffin. Now, it was a fun movie to cover, and it kind of makes you think, what if inanimate figures would come to life and kill? If that could happen, I'd really have to keep my eyes open, because you can see I got some figures behind me, and here's a quick glimpse of some of my collection in my comic cave. And I was thinking, you know, if one of them did come to life, which one would it be? I probably thought it would be this Green Goblin figure I have, you know, for reasons. So this little guy up here. Uh-oh. He was just there. I'm gonna have to... Okay. Puppet Master 2 came out a little over a year after the original Puppet Master. And... you know, when we get further into the franchise, you're going to see the continuity really doesn't match up with the Puppet Master continuity. It's really kind of sketchy with lots of prequels and stuff and time jumps. But in this movie, we do get the introduction of the Torch Puppet, which is awesome. And the plot of this movie is the puppets return and they hunt paranormal researchers in an attempt to take their brain fluid for their master, Andre Toulon, the Puppet Master. So last week's episode was a ton of fun to put nails in a coffin, so sit back, relax, and enjoy as we put some nails in a coffin with Puppet Master 2. So when the movie begins, we're at Shady Oak Cemetery, and we see Pinhead digging Andre Toulon's grave up. He opens the lid and climbs out. He then pours a green, yellowish liquid onto the corpse. We got Blade, Leechwoman, Tunneler, and Jester watching, and the corpse raises his arms, telling us that Andre Toulon is alive once more. Months later, we have a team of paranormal investigators arriving at Bodega Bay Inn. They're there to investigate the strange murder of Megan Gallagher, Neil's wife from Puppet Master. Also, Alex from Puppet Master is now insane. He's ranting and raving about killer puppets, and he's in an asylum as a suspect for Megan's murder. Okay, moving on to our first kill. Later on that night, one of the investigators, Camille, decides that she wants to leave the inn after she found two puppets in the room. It really creeped her out. When she's packing, Pinhead and Jester attack her. Pinhead grabs her legs and trips her, and when she's on the floor, Jester gags her. Pinhead then picks up her arms and drags her out of the room where she is killed off screen. Now, she was killed off screen, but I saw enough to give her a nail rating, and I'm going to give her one nail in the coffin. You know, Pinhead tripped her, and she fell on the floor, and it does look like she hit her head, but it wasn't hard enough to knock her out. She was still conscious. Jester did gag her, so she couldn't scream. However, she still had the use of her arms until Pinhead grabbed them to drag her away. But she didn't put much of a struggle to not be dragged away. She did kick her legs, but she didn't thrash around or do something not to make it easy for her to be taken. She could have flipped over on her stomach or tried to pull her arms away. The puppets do have some strength, you know, but they can be picked up and thrown. I don't think they're any stronger than a normal human. I didn't even see her struggle trying to pull her arms free, so it was way too easy for her to be kidnapped and later on killed. So I'm going to stick with giving her one nail in the coffin. The other investigators are showing some concern since they can't locate Camille. Her belongings and car are still at the inn, but she's nowhere to be found. So later on that night, Patrick is laying in bed sleeping, and Lance, one of the other investigators, is looking at security cam footage, and he sees Tunneler enter Patrick's room. Unbeknownst to Patrick, Tunneler jumps up on his bed, walks up to Patrick's head, turns on his drill, and drills right into Patrick's skull, killing him. Lance does run in to Patrick's room, grabbing Tunneler and throwing him to the floor, but it's too late and Patrick is dead. Patrick wasn't given much of a chance, and I'm going to give him two nails in a coffin. He was fast asleep when Tunneler drilled into his head, and I don't think he feel like he had enough time to pull Tunneler off of him. Even if Patrick was able to pull Tunneler off of him, he may not have survived anyways. having his skull and brain cracked open. And I didn't see him do anything stupid, so I'm going to go down the middle and give him 2 nails in a coffin since he wasn't given much of a chance to survive. Also, Tunneler was killed by Lance when he hit him with the lamp, but I'm not going to count puppet deaths for my nail ratings. The following night, Blade and Leechwoman visit a local farmer's house. Martha and her husband are sleeping in bed. She wakes up when the bed starts to shake, and she thinks her husband, Matthew, played by the legendary Buck Flower, is pleasuring himself next to her in bed. The shaking continues, and when she turns over to yell at Matthew to stop, she sees that he's been killed by Leechwoman. He was already dead when Martha saw him, and I feel I don't have enough information to go on to give him a nail rating. Martha is now looking around the room with her shotgun, searching for Leechwoman. She sees her, takes a shot, but misses. Blade runs up to Martha, stabs her in the leg, causing her to fall to the floor and drop her shotgun. She picks herself up, putting her hand on the wood-burning stove. Leechwoman had knocked a porcelain doll off of a shelf, and this really upsets Martha. She's on the floor over her broken doll, and then she picks up a pan right as Leechwoman lunged at her, and she caught Leechwoman with a smack from the pan, knocking her to the floor. Martha stopped on her a few times, picked her up, and placed her in the stove, killing Leechwoman. Martha then picks up her shotgun, and she's about to shoot Blade. Then we get the introduction of a new puppet, Torch. He has a flamethrower on his arm, and it's in his name. His name's Torch. And he shoots the flamethrower at Martha, resulting in her burning to death. This was a little tougher to rate, so I'm going to take the entire incident into consideration. I'm going to give Martha 1.5 nails in the coffin. I like how she kept her composure during the ordeal. She went for her shotgun right away, and she was able to knock Leechwoman down with the pan, stomp on her, and toss her into the stove. But where Martha loses points is when she took time to mourn over her broken doll. Also, she had her gun up at the ready to shoot Blade, but she waited. She hesitated. She took too much time to shoot. She had him in her sights, and then Torch showed up. She saw Torch and trained her gun on him, but again, she took time to talk crap before she shot him. And when he raised his flamethrower up at her, all she did was look shocked. She had time to at least try and run away, or move, or shoot him without just talking crap. But I'm going to give her the extra half a nail for her actions up to the point where, after she killed Leechwoman, because after that she lost all sense. So, 1.5 nails in the coffin for Martha. Earlier in the film, Eric arrived at Bodega Bay Inn, and he informed everybody that he has inherited the hotel. We learned that Eric is actually, in fact, Andre Toulon, and because he's back after his puppets dug him up. And we also learned that he recently created Torch after he was brought back to life. Andre, he's in his lab. Torch and Blade show up after they murder Martha and Matthew. Blade has something on his hook, and he gives it to Andre. It was Martha's eyeball, but it was all burnt now and of no use for Andre. The puppets are actually killing because they're getting weaker and need the secret ingredient in the secret formula, brain tissue, to get their strength back. Andre also tells Torch to learn some restraint when he's using his flamethrower. Little Billy is next to get killed. There's a family camping in an RV. We see Billy get out of the RV to go play outside. He's got a G.I. Joe type action figure and a whip. He's playing that the doll is Nazi scum, so cool. He takes the doll's vest off, places him against a tree, and he starts to whip the doll. The whip catches around the doll, which results in him being tossed to a nearby bush. Billy was able to go look for his doll, but then it was tossed by his feet. Torch comes out of the bushes, and Billy thinks this is just a cool doll, so he runs up to Torch. Billy was actually playing Indiana Jones / director of a movie. Billy picks up Torch, checking him out, and he puts him down on the ground, and he's yelling at Torch to do something, do something. Billy starts to whip Torch and knocks him over. This pisses Torch off. Billy is actually looking over him. Torch raises his arm and points the flamethrower at Billy, and Billy says, "Is that all you can do?" Well, no, Billy. Torch torches Billy, and we get a kid death, which we don't see a lot of. Billy was just a kid, probably around 8 years old. One of the youngest people to get a nail rating, and I'm going to give him 2 nails in a coffin. He was just playing, a little weird, taking the top off the doll so you can whip it, but hey, to each their own. He didn't do anything stupid. He was just playing like his toys were alive. I know I did that when I was a kid. Torch killed Billy because Billy hit him with the whip, but Billy would have no clue that Torch had an actual flamethrower on his arm and that he was a dangerous, sentient puppet. Billy was just a kid playing, using his imagination, and he was pretty much in the wrong place at the wrong time. I didn't see him doing anything inherently stupid, so 2 nails in a coffin seem fair. Later that night, Lance and Wanda just finished making friends with each other, and Wanda is relaxing on the bed, and Lance just got out of the shower. This irritates Wanda a little bit that he took a shower after sex. Okay. Wanda was going back to her rooms, and then she was going to go check on Carolyn since Carolyn had gone to town. She wanted to see if she returned. But when Wanda's about to open a door, the lights go out in Lance's room. She hears him yell. She goes into the room, turns the lights on, and finds him dead on the bed with his throat slit, courtesy of Blade. Now, we didn't see how Lance was attacked, so I'm not going to be able to give him a nail rating. After Wanda sees what happens to Lance, with Blade standing on the bed over his dead body, she screams up and backs into the wall and falls to the floor. Blade jumps down off the bed and rushes at her. She backs up to the wall in the hallway, and Blade starts slashing at her face, resulting in Wanda's death. Wanda, I'm sorry to say, is awarded one nail in the coffin. People in this franchise seem to forget they have arms. This is already like 6 or 7 deaths so far in this franchise, and their death probably couldn't easily avoid it if they actually used their arms. And this is only the second movie. Wanda saw Blade rush at her, and he started slashing at her face, but she could have put her arms up, blocking her face. She could have tried to grab Blade and throw him. She could have tried to stand up and run, not just sit there and be scared. Sorry, Wanda, but you're only going to get one nail in the coffin. Getting close to the end now, Carolyn had snuck into Andre's room, and she finds 2 life-size mannequins. Andre walks up behind her, and he thinks she's his reincarnated wife, Elsa. He grabs her, he's able to tie her up, and she's screaming when this happened, and this woke up Michael. He's rushing to her aid, but first he has to deal with Torch, who just torched his room. Michael puts the fire out on his bed, and he rushes to go help out Carolyn. And meanwhile, Andre is revealing who he is to Carolyn. Michael is still rushing to save her. He stops in the hallway, and he sees Torch. He grabs a fire extinguisher, sprays it at him, and throws him, knocking him over. And Michael continues to go find Carolyn. After Michael gets by Torch, he now has to get past Pinhead. He's running in the hallway, checking doors, looking for Carolyn. He's at the staircase, and Pinhead swings on a chandelier and punches Michael, knocking him to the floor. Pinhead lunges at Michael, wrapping his hands around his throat. Michael was able to pull Pinhead off of him, and he smashes the puppet on the wall and the floor, knocking Pinhead out. Andre is then telling Carolyn how the puppets were getting weak, and they used the last of the fluid to bring him back to life, so he could help them use the brain tissue they need in order to survive. He tells her he's actually going to use this magic formula to put her soul into the female mannequin. Now, this upsets the puppets since the formula was supposed to be for them to survive. Andre Toulon successfully puts his soul into the male mannequin, and this thing looks creepy as hell. Michael finds where Toulon and Carolyn are, and he breaks into the room. Toulon's holding a knife to Carolyn's throat, telling Michael to back off. The puppets actually revolt and take the special serum away. Andre goes after Jester, but Pinhead trips him, and he's trying to get back to his feet, but Blade stabs him in the arm with his hook hand. Then you see puppet goop ooze out of Andre. Pinhead smashes his other arm. Andre gets back to his feet, and Torch shows up. He points his flamethrower at Andre and just lights him up. Toulon is engulfed in flames, and he falls out the window and dies. Our final death in Puppet Master 2 was the original Puppet Master himself, Andre Toulon, and he earned himself one nail in the coffin. He betrayed the puppets he created. He created puppets that kill, and he went against them. Did he really think they would just let him get away with this? He created puppets with all made from weapons, torches and blades, and Pinhead is really strong. But I don't understand his decisions. His actions and decisions were the sole reason he died. He also didn't put much of a fight when the puppets were attacking him. He just stood there and waited for Torch, to torch him. So this is an easy one for me there, Andre. You're only going to get one nail in the coffin. So the puppets still have the serum, so they actually use it on Camille, who they killed earlier, and they transfer her soul into this nightmare-fueled abomination. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all my nails in the coffin for Puppet Master 2. Here's a summary of all the nails I've awarded. Now here's how Puppet Masters 2 Nails in a Coffin average compares with Puppet Master. And don't forget, we choose a puppet MVP, and the puppet MVP in this movie is Torch. He killed Martha, Billy, and finishing blow for Andre Toulon. This was also his debut film, and I felt like he shined in this movie. Plus, that kill for Billy was just really wrong, killing a kid. torch, earning himself the Puppet MVP. Thanks again for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you here next week when I cover Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, which is actually a prequel to the original Puppet Master. And meanwhile, I have to go look for that Green Goblin figure. Take care, stay safe, stay happy. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.